How many of you all were fans of the hit TV series M.A.S.H. or of The West Wing? Well, Alan Alda has been making news. Earlier this week, he appeared on CBS This Morning. The award-winning actor, best known for his portrayal of Captain Hawkeye Pierce on the M.A.S.H. TV series, revealed that he was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. And he revealed that he was diagnosed with this 3.5 years ago. He said, and I quote, "I've had a full life since then. I've acted, I've given talks, I helped at the Alda Center for Communicating Science at Stony Brook. I started this new podcast, and I noticed that I had been on television a lot in the last couple of weeks talking about the new podcast, and I could see my thumb twitch in some shots, and I thought it's probably only a matter of time before somebody does a story about this from a sad point of view, but that's not where I am." So he revealed that after he noticed that he pretty much had got tested for the disease after reading an article about how one of the early signs of Parkinson's is acting out dreams. He would say, and I quote, "I was having a dream that someone was attacking me and I threw a sack of potatoes at them. What I was really doing was throwing a pillow at my wife." He is now 82 years old, recently launched a podcast called Clear and Vivid, which basically explores the ways in which people communicate with each other. The ability to engage with people clearly, he says, is the key to greater understanding for everyone, and that it's another reason Alda spoke out was to send a message of hope to those who might be facing this terrible disease. And he would go on to say in the interview that he was not upset at being diagnosed with this devastating disease. He is not angry, to quote him exactly. He is not angry, and God bless Alan Alda. I grew up on Alan Alda. If you are a product child of the 80s, then 9 times out of 10, you grew up watching M.A.S.H. just like your parents did, okay? And I tell you, such a great actor, a very good, versatile actor, a lot of range. 1 minute, he can hit you with the comedy, such as on M.A.S.H., or look up the episode where he appeared on the Carol Burnett Show. I mean, he is just, as far as comedic timing, he is superb. And one of the main skits that I remember from this episode of the Carol Burnett Show he appeared on, he was this lanky, kind of boring guy that went out on this date with Carol Burnett, who's another dull, kind of boring character, but the two of them, they are very passionate about movies. They can quote lines, they can tell you what year the movie had came out, they can tell you the stars, they can tell you who the director was, who was the grip, who was the producer, all of that. So I mean, these two were really good trivia buffs. And what the character Carol Burnett had played did not realize was that Alan Alda's character was making the moves by compiling a bunch of scenes from different movies and TV shows to basically try to get her inside her apartment, back in her apartment for a nightcap, right? And she didn't realize that she was about to be had until after they kissed at the door, and that pretty much was it. And she's on cloud 9. She turns on the TV, and practically line for line, everything that he had hit her up with, she had saw on the TV, and she's going, oh man. So she tried to extract revenge on him the next night because she invited him to come to her house for dinner, and she really laid it into him, and he came clean. And she, you felt bad for Alan Alda because you're going, oh, the guy, he feels that he's just not really a cool character, that he's just really bland, so damn boring, and all he was trying to do was just do everything in his power to get her to like him, because if she saw the real him, she wouldn't be interested. And so he was just playing the sympathy card and all that, and eventually it did work, and they ended up making some coffee, if you know what I mean. I'm not talking about the kind you're sipping on, alright? I'm talking about the coffee in the bedroom. Luke Cage, folks, Luke Cage. So they do that. She's on cloud 9 once again, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe he leaves out. She turns on the TV, and again, she realizes, oh man, he said all these lines, and oh, just like that, girl, I ended up falling for it, and we went and we made coffee, and she is so lividly mad. and the guy comes knocking back on the door because it turned out he left something. I can't remember what it was that he left, and she let him have it once again. And if I remember it right, I think the episode just finally ended with the two of them just reconciling and everything was good. But it was a hilarious episode to see him on. But yeah, such a great range of an actor that Alan Alda is. And like I said, whether he comes at you with the comedy or you saw the great work that he was doing in The West Wing, I really wish that The West Wing would have continued on for a couple of more seasons, because I personally would have loved to have seen how he would have operated on there. I know that Jimmy Smith's character ended up becoming the president to succeed Martin Sheen's president. But, oh my God, what a guilty pleasure. I can tell you there was a lot of sad faces over here in the DMV when The West Wing had got canceled, because that was truly a guilty pleasure of a show to check out every single week. It was really a hit series, really close to home for the DMV. We really had enjoyed that series, and it was just great being in a position where you would constantly see the film crew all the time out here filming all kinds of stuff. I mean, all kinds of stuff. If you were looking to be an extra and bring in a little bit of extra money, it was pretty easy to 9 times out of 10 get some type of a cameo as an extra or whatnot on The West Wing. So, you know, when I hear this, I go, well, on the one hand, this is happening where he is so late into his life. I mean, Alan Alda has always been a fit and healthy man, but for me, it's just a little bit heartbreaking and sad to really know that the final years of this man being on God's green earth, he is going to be suffering from this disease, and it's going to slowly but surely. Now, see, what I wonder is, with him being diagnosed 3.5 years ago, did they catch it right at the point where it was in the beginning stages? Because normally, if you get diagnosed just early enough, there is medicine that you can take. It will not reverse the effects. Obviously, I wish we did have that kind of a miracle drug out there. But if you get diagnosed early enough, you can be put in a position where you can start some type of a medicine regimen, and with that regimen, it can slow down the Parkinson's dramatically. So I'm wondering if, when he got diagnosed initially, if it was in the beginning stages or not. So, but it's still, when you just hear that, you go, oh, that's really tough, especially when you think about 80s icon pop star Michael J. Fox, and you see what Parkinson's has been doing to him. I mean, at the end of the day, it is such a debilitating disease. It really, really is. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. And I can tell you, to be of the generation that grew up watching Michael J. Fox, oh my God, and I'll never forget, I will never ever forget when he had began to do the new series on ABC, Spin City. I was totally excited because I'm going, yes, Michael J. Fox is coming back home to his roots. He's coming back to TV. This is really where he thrives. Yes. Oh, this is going to be badass. And I mean, you talk about a great ensemble of a cast, of a supporting cast when he was on Spin City. It was great. And then I remember when he dropped that bombshell that he had Parkinson's. You're going, wait a minute. So what exactly? And I remember kind of going, so wait a minute, Parkinson's, what exactly? I was still relatively kind of young, not extremely young, but I was kind of young. I'm going, wait a minute, what is this? Like, what's going on with him exactly? And then to hear him go into more details about the disease, and then to do my own proper research to better understand what it is that Michael J. Fox is or has been going through. You go, wow, that's crazy. And just to see where the progression of that Parkinson's has taken Michael J. Fox since he had first broke out that news many years back, all the way up to now. It's really, really, really sad. And yeah, Michael J. Fox, he takes little bits and parts here and there, but it has significantly sidelined his career as far as being a Hollywood star. I honestly believe in my heart of hearts, if it wasn't for that Parkinson's disease, he'd be tearing it up in the movies and everything right about now. So, and there's just no telling how much worse that Parkinson's is going to get for Michael J. Fox. I mean, it's so heartbreaking because I remember there was a camera crew. I want to say maybe it was part of NBC's Today Show. I'm not sure. But I remember that there was a crew that was following Michael J. Fox and his wife around, seeing what it was like for him on a daily basis, the struggles that he had to go through with Parkinson's. And you just felt so damn sad for the guy, but at the same time, you just rooted him on because you really wanted for him to kick that disease's ass. I remember when the Michael J. Fox show had premiered on NBC. It sadly did not last that long. I could not bear to watch that series. I didn't want to see him in that state. I just did not. As much of a supporter I am of Michael J. Fox, I just did not want to see him struggle like that. And just seeing and knowing what's going on with Michael J. Fox, hearing about this diagnosis with Alan Alda, I mean, some would make the argument, well, 80 years of age, I don't know, he might not be around, say, in the next 10 years. It's very well possible that he could expire long before the disease really paralyzes him to that point that it's doing with Michael J. But only time will tell. But I tell you what, I like the fact that Alan Alda is just basically taking this on. And honestly, he's at a point in his life where, honestly, he's 80 years of age. He's seen a lot. He's experienced a lot in life. He's being proactive. He's going out there doing all that stuff that he had mentioned, including the podcast. So he's keeping himself relatively busy. And honestly, that's a really good thing because most people, when they hear that type of news, they don't try to live for life. They just pretty much, okay, let me take my medicine, and they go into this rabbit hole inside their mind. And they just pretty much kind of decompose in there, if you will. But seems like Alan Alda is saying, no, I'm not going to let this define me. And I'm not going to let it mark my final days on this earth. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to live life to the fullest. So really good for Alan Alda. All the best. But I would like to believe that, I'll say this and we'll move on. I was watching the news, I would say, if not earlier this week, I would say last week, middle of last week, I was watching the news and the scientists, they're always testing out all different types of drugs on mice and all that, doing their experiments. And they came across this drug where they may have discovered how to reverse male pattern baldness, and on top of that, they may have been able to reverse, not at 100%, but they may have been able to slowly reverse Parkinson's disease. It's still in the testing stages and all that. I mean, it is still years to go. I would say maybe at this point, maybe about 10 years, give or take. And if you are a person with Parkinson's or somebody with Parkinson's, this is kind of good news considering how old that person is with Parkinson's, because we're so close. I truly believe that within my generation, that within my lifespan, that before I leave God's green earth, I do feel that sometime within the next 20 years, we're definitely going to be able to crack this. And I don't know if we're going to get that miracle drug, but I do feel that before my time on this planet is over, that we are going to be able to come up with something that's going to significantly help out those with Parkinson's disease. I think the real question is, will Congress and the Senate, will they vote sensible? And most importantly, will they put themselves in a position where they will make sure that this drug is very affordable for all? Because you know how it is when you have that new miracle drug that's out there. Oh, it can do what? Everybody want to be charging out the ass. And I just hate all that type of stuff. Don't even get me started on that, because that's going to be going to an entirely different topic altogether. So we'll just pause on that note.